Hey, welcome to 12 Tone. I heard there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord, but you don't really care for music, do ya? That, as you probably know, is the beginning of Hallelujah, a song whose composer Leonard Cohen sadly passed away last week. It's not often you hear a song whose lyrics literally describe the chords that are playing underneath it, and it's even rarer that that song is so beautiful, so powerful that it gets covered by literally hundreds of artists. Hallelujah is a masterclass in blending lyrics and harmony, so today, in honor of one of modern music's greatest poets, I'd like to look at exactly what he was talking about. The verse begins like this, going back and forth between C major and A minor. This creates a very specific effect because these two sounds are very closely related. There's only one note different between the two chords, so we really don't feel like we're moving much yet. But that's not it. This section leaves us with a very important question. What key are we in? What's the actual root here? It's surprisingly hard to say. The scales associated with these chords are incredibly similar. In fact, they share all the same notes, so in order to tell them apart, we have to look at how those notes function. In both scales, both of these chords are what's known as tonic function chords. This means they're at rest, they don't move, and they're not directional, so no matter which key we're in, the results are basically the same. The best answer we can give is that it's ambiguous. This creates a sense of melancholy. We're drifting somewhere between major and minor, neither happy nor sad, just lost. But all that changes in the next line, where we get a very clear answer thanks to these three chords. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more iconic progression than this, using all three chord functions and clearly spelling out that we're in the key of C major. The only way he could have made it more obvious is by immediately repeating this resolution, which he does. So what changed? Why suddenly throw away all that ambiguity? Why make it so simple? In another context, I might even call it lazy, but here I don't think that's the case at all. I think it's a brilliant touch, but to understand why, we have to listen to what he's saying. The lyrics that go along with this are, "But you don't really care for music, do ya?" And as he sings about his listeners' apathy, he gives up the game. He abandons the tonal ambiguity he was building and just hands you an easy answer, because why not? You don't care, do you? So why make things complicated? This sense of resignation is captured both in the story he's telling and the music he's playing simultaneously, and the juxtaposition of hope and hopelessness is an important theme throughout the song. From there, he begins to just literally call out the chords he's playing, with the fourth and the fifth both outlining again that we are, in fact, in C major. For those of you who don't know, we often refer to chords by numbers, describing which note of the scale they're built on top of. F is the fourth note in the key of C, so F major is the fourth chord, while G major is the fifth. We saw these two chords earlier, but this time they do something a little different. This is the minor fall. Instead of resolving to C like before, we've gone to A minor. This is what's known as a deceptive resolution, where the 5 chord goes somewhere other than back to 1. And this part always confused me. The melody's ascending and the harmony sounds like it's rising too, so what exactly is falling? This is open to interpretation, but I think it goes back to the ambiguity from the start. We've fallen back into A minor, back to the darker scale that we might have been in all along. But we don't stay there very long thanks to the major lift. Here, he could have just used a C chord, but as we mentioned before, that really wouldn't have told us much. Instead, he uses an F, which functions differently depending on which key we're in. In A minor, it's still tonic, but in C major, it's subdominant, which means it pulls us away from the root. It keeps us moving. It lifts us up and pushes us forward, and that motion is continued as we go again to the G, the dominant chord, which points us back home to C. But we don't actually go back to C. Instead, we hear this chord, which isn't in C major at all, but it is in A minor. Sort of. Minor keys often use chords like this because on their own they have no dominant function chords to point them home. So this chord is borrowed from A major and once again implies that perhaps A is the true root of the song, which is reinforced as the chord resolves to A minor. And now we come to the chorus, the hallelujahs themselves. Here again we fluctuate between a major and a minor chord, but this time instead of C major he uses F, making this section a war between the minor fall and the major lift from before. This eventually winds up going back to C, then G, then C, then G, which again cements us clearly in a major key, and then the second verse begins and the cycle starts anew. Anyway, that's my interpretation. I don't know exactly what Leonard Cohen was thinking when he wrote these chords, and I probably never will, but that's the beauty of analysis. Everyone can find their own meaning. The chords stay the same, but the stories they tell can be different for every person who looks at them. So how about you? What story do you get from these chords? Let me know in the comments. And hey, thanks for watching. If you want to help make these videos possible, please consider supporting 12 Tone on Patreon. You can also join our mailing list for scans of all our episodes. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and keep on rockin'.